When it comes to this new news, what we've learned about over the last week, big week for the internet, big week for the government, NSA and PRISM, what's the sentiment in the Valley?
Well, maybe this is indicative of the fact that I live in New York and that I've never really been part of that herd. We are, as citizens, I think, really upset, really frustrated because we have an expectation that whether it is our private property, offline or online, that it will be respected, and that's what the Fourth Amendment protects. And needless to say, it was rather disappointing to see all of this news come out, and apparently much more on the way.
When you're in your early 20s, you're building a startup that could become the next Reddit, the next Facebook. Now, do you at what point do you say, I think I got to get a lawyer?
Yeah, it certainly will come up a lot sooner for founders. And founders maybe who were thinking, move fast and break things, are now going to be thinking, well, move fast and break things, but, don't break the Constitution. And I think this is an opportunity for us as citizens to really start to draw a line in the sand for what is off limits, what is still private, even in this digital age.
Let's say the government came and they asked you for information. What information could you give them?
Well, there really isn't any. When people use Reddit as a platform to publicly share links and publicly have discussions. So, the primary use of the site is something that is in public, and so there really isn't a ton of useful data there.
What advice do you give these young folks who are building these companies and this is becoming a reality?
Yeah, well, there's my investor hat, there's my founder hat, and then there's my citizen hat, and that citizen hat trumps everything else. And I want to make sure that the environment we are starting companies in has a government that respects our right to privacy, so that these kinds of discussions going forward aren't even a factor, aren't even an issue. And I think the ability for us to use this technology has sort of outpaced, unfortunately, I think some of our legislators' understanding of what kind of laws they should be writing. Whether it's making sure our elected officials understand the internet and understand technology is just as important, though, as making sure we get more of these people who inherently and sort of innately understand this technology into office. I think the other interesting thing is more and more founders are really rallying behind companies now that are actually themselves built on a model of respecting privacy. One that I know rather well is called DuckDuckGo, and it's a venture backed by USV here in New York, a search engine competitor to Google. And their core business proposition is we don't track anything you search for on our site. And so I'd imagine more startups to kind of take that lead.